What am I going to have for lunch? Is a question that I get from lots of people. So today I'm going to be making two mixes. They're both mixes that are thrown together in about 10 to 15 minutes max. So they're quick, they're healthy, they're easy, and they're the perfect thing to have during a busy week for lunch. We're going to be doing a tuna mix and also an egg mix. And I feel like people might be a little bit funny about tuna or a little bit funny about egg, but once you make these mixes, they all come together so beautifully. They're mild, you don't get the fishy smell from the tuna, you don't get the yucky egg smell from the egg, because I feel like these mixes are really great to take to work. You know, you pop it in a container and then at work you can assemble your mix onto your bread or your rice cake or your rice thin, but because they're mixed with all the other bits, you don't get any yucky smells. They're really, really delicious. I have eaten these for many years. So mix number one, my tuna mix. Variations of tuna mixes are all in my first cookbook, Wholesome by Sarah. I love them that much that I actually put them in my cookbook. So they are so worth it. I'm gonna show you how easy it is. There's only a handful of ingredients. It comes together really quickly and it is delicious. So I've got some canned or tin tuna, whatever you wanna call it. It's that bigger size one. So I think it's 425 grams, but I'm just showing you, I'll pop the recipe below, but I'll just show you how I do this one with this amount of tuna. You can use any flavour tuna you like. I've just got tuna in olive oil, but you can use a chili tuna if you like. You can use a lemon pepper tuna if you like. I like to stick with plain because obviously we're going to add some bits and bobs to it. This is just some canned corn. We'll have to check the size because I don't remember. So about a cup, but I'll pop the amounts down below, pop that in. Then I've got some red onion or Spanish onion. This is just diced really finely, depending on your tolerance for onion. You know, lots of people are anti it, especially if you're taking it to work and eating at lunchtime. You can use red onion. You can also use spring onion. I'm using spring onion for my next egg mix, but you can use spring onion if you prefer it. Another really great little tip with red onion, if you do find it overpowering or strong, chop it all up, fill the bowl with water, so immerse it in water, and then leave it, you know, even in the fridge overnight. But if you've got, you know, a spare 10, 20 minutes, even that helps. And then just drain it. Give it some paper towel, squeeze it out, and then throw that in, and that will really soften up how strong red onion can be. I really love red onion. I don't mind, you know, that it can be quite strong, but I'm actually gonna just do that for now and then see how we go at the end of the mix. So that's red onion. Then I'm going to chop a little bit of celery. These are really kind of big celery ribs. So I sort of thought, you be the judge as well. I will put the recipe below, obviously, but depending on what you like and depending on, yeah, see, I think one of these celery ribs is gonna be enough, but if they're sort of skinny and sometimes you get some much smaller ones, you can choose what you want to do. So chop those up nice and fine if you can, because then it just mixes really well into the mix rather than getting big chunks of celery that then don't really make a good whole mix. Chop, 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 chop. Great, that's looking good. Finish that off. Great, that should be enough. And I'm like, oh gosh, maybe I should have chosen a bigger bowl because we're starting to get to the top. I can always grab another big one. So grab that celery, pop it in. Now, I've got parsley here. This is totally optional. And again, I've got some herbs in my egg mix that's coming up too. Herbs are always really optional in most things, I feel like. So I like adding a bit of parsley. It just adds some freshness and whatever to the mix. You can skip the herbs altogether. And I feel like, you know, if you're putting together this mix on a Tuesday morning to have it Tuesday lunchtime, or you're making it to take to work, you don't always have herbs around. So it is totally fine to skip the herbs if, you know, doesn't have to be that extravagant sometimes. I just like putting in a bit of parsley because I like the flavor of parsley and it adds some freshness, but herbs are totally optional. And you can use any herb in this if you like. Dill works beautifully. I've got dill in my next one. You can do some mint, you can do some coriander, you can do some basil, whatever herb you like works quite well. So that's nearly it. This is how easy it is. And it just changes up tuna. You know, I think we rely on tin tuna a lot, which is fantastic. It's good for us. It's healthy. It's a really great option for lunch, but this mix just changes it up a little bit, that we try it in a different way and it keeps it interesting. I'm a bit worried about putting my Greek yogurt and my mayo into that bowl because it's all just gonna explode over the top. So I'm gonna just grab a little bowl and then basically pour all that in, but you'll be able to see all the yummy bits and bobs. See, there's all our mix. Yum. Grab a little spoon, get all that out so we don't waste any. Okay, that's a bit better. Now we can see it and we've got a bit of room for kind of the dressing or whatever you want to call the stir-through sauce that you put through this. I do a mix of Greek yogurt and mayonnaise. You can just do Greek yogurt if you're trying to be healthy and that sort of thing. I'll go with about a tablespoon of Greek yogurt to start. Can always add more. We know that rule. You can't take it out. You can always add more. And then about a tablespoon of mayonnaise. I just find with Greek yogurt, plain Greek yogurt, it is lovely, and maybe a bit of squeeze of lemon. But I just find with the mix of mayo, it does creamy it up a little bit more. That keeps it just that little bit more flavorful and yummy to enjoy, you know, something to look forward to. And then I'm just gonna add some pinch of salt and a crack of pepper. I need to fill my pepper grinder. It's getting empty. I'm really trying to scrape the bottom of the barrel here. Let's give that a mix, and then we can see if we need to add more Greek yogurt, more mayo, more whatever. So stir that through. I just love this mix. I feel like it's such a goodie, and it's a great meal prep mix. So if you do an hour of power or 2 hours on a weekend to get ready for your week, this is a wonderful thing to make up. The only thing I would say, a tip for that, is to make up the main ingredients. So pop your tuna in, your corn, your celery, your parsley, your red onion, and then just keep your Greek yogurt and your mayo separate. If you're not fussed, you can add it. The only thing you'll notice is over a couple of days, so on day 2 or 3, you'll start to get some moisture that's drawn out from the mix, and that will just be like a little puddle at the bottom. So if you don't mind about that, it's not, unsafe or, to eat it or whatever, but that's what you will get over the few days if you mix up the whole mix. But if you're not bothered by that, you can mix up the whole thing and have it in your fridge ready to go. Otherwise, you can mix up your main ingredients and then add the mayo Greek yogurt mix as you go each day. Just have a little side thing and stir it through when you're ready to serve. Okay, that's actually looking pretty good. I don't want it to be too, I'm gonna have a little try, see how we're going with flavor. Never gets old, this mix. Like, every time I make it, I feel like it still blows my mind how delicious it is for how easy and quick it is to prepare. Like, it's just super fresh, super yummy. I don't need any more salt, that's for sure. Probably gone a touch over with the salt. Definitely need some more pepper, but my pepper grinder's just being a bit unkind to me at the moment. Nothing's coming out, so let's just pretend I've added, oh, there we go, there's a little bit. And I think that's it. Look, I could add a little bit more Greek yogurt, but this comes down to personal preference. So it's just, if you like a bit more of a creamier mix, then you can choose to add a bit more mayo and Greek yogurt, whichever you prefer. But I am pretty happy with that mix. So there we go, look at that, yum. That's it. That is tuna mix, lunch mix, 1 done and done. Yum. So lunch mix number 2, we're going to do an egg mix now. Hot tip, you can also swap the eggs for tuna, or you can just include tuna in this mix too. But I thought I'd change it up in case you weren't a tuna fan. This is a great one to do, a vegetarian option and different to tuna. Okay, so I've got 5 hard-boiled eggs here. You can basically chop them any way you like. So I'm just gonna roughly chop them, and they get messy when you're chopping them because it all gets rubbery and weird and whatever else. So you know how you would have seen those viral videos online where they do it all on the chopping board and they chop it all up? You can do that if you like. I prefer to use a bowl. That's just me. I'm old school like that. Well, it's not really old school, it's just probably more common sense, There's also that cool trick, like a cake cooler that you put your muffins or your cakes on, and that you can squish the egg through that to chop as well. Again, totally your call. I just don't mind it being roughly chopped, so you kind of chop it all up like this on the board. Whoop, bouncing around my eggs. And I love this mix too. So I saw this funny thing the other day where someone showed a school kid's lunchbox, and there were just 2 hard-boiled eggs in there, which I'm obsessed with eggs. They're amazing. They are so unbelievably good for you. They fill you up in a really wonderful way. Anyway, this mother had put eggs in her kid's lunchbox, and all the comments were like, oh my gosh, how could you do that to the child? Eggs are so smelly. Eggs are so, just social suicide, all of this sort of stuff. The great thing about this mix is that when you mix in all the other bits, it doesn't have an eggy smell, which is just good to know, because if you love eggs and they fill you up and you're trying to be healthy, it's a perfect mix. But you also know that your colleague next to you in, your lunchroom or whatever isn't going, oh my God, that person stinks. So chop, 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 chop. Just make sure it's like small enough to be able to stir through and mix kind of thing. All right, we're probably good there. Just gonna get my other little tool to pick it up. So this will just help pop it into the bowl. Okay, straight in. So that's our egg done. Now, avocado. I am gonna smush it up for this recipe. So I'll just quickly show you how to cut an avocado in case you don't know. So around like that, and then you're just splitting it like this. And then very carefully, because this can be really dangerous, but you're kind of just gonna crack the pit with your knife and pull that out. Depending on what I'm doing with it, if I'm dicing it for a salad, I will dice it inside the skin. But if I'm just smushing it to go into a mix like today, I will just pull it out with a spoon. Okay. And if you like it diced, you can add it at the end and just gently toss it through. But I quite like it smushed in this mix. So start by chopping it, and then it'll sort of start to smush up itself. And then once you add all your other bits and you stir it all, it'll keep kind of mashing up. They should be called chop lunch mixes. And that'll probably do, as I said, once you get it in there and you keep stirring it all around, it'll keep kind of breaking up, smushing up. There we go. All right, that's our avocado done. Then I've got some dill pickles, which I love dill pickles. You can also use cornichons, which are just your baby marinated cucumbers that you put on like a cheese board. They just add a really lovely like acidity, but also a touch of sweetness. I just am obsessed with them. So throw those in. I think that was about 2 tablespoons, but I'll check and pop it in the recipe. Then I've got some cottage cheese. So cottage cheese is kind of starting to take off here, but it's been around forever. It's really high in protein, really great for you. So pop that in. That was probably about 2 tablespoons too. I probably should have waited to see what our mix was like, but that's okay. I've got some spring onion. Should have cut these first too, because now my board's all yucky and filthy. But I'm probably gonna do about 3 and we'll see how we go. Again, if you don't like onion, you can keep these out. If you prefer red onion, you can use red onion. You can also use shallot, which is just a type of onion as well that's quite mild and sweet. So whichever you sort of prefer, just nicely, finely kind of chopped. Okay, let's start with about that. I'll just quickly run the knife over them a little bit more to get them nice and fine. We don't like getting big chunks of onion during lunch hour. Okay, pop that in. Ta-da! And again. I really shouldn't do that with my knife on the chopping board, it's not good. Then we've got a little bit of mayo, a little bit of Dijon mustard. So let's just add, I don't like too much Dijon mustard. You be the judge of whatever your mix is gonna be. There's about 2 teaspoons here. I'm just gonna start with 1 and see how we go with that. I feel like mustard, I love it, especially in a salad dressing, but it can really quickly overpower things. So start small and build. And then I'm gonna go about, that's not really a tablespoon, but about a good heaped dessert spoon of mayo, and then I've just got my herbs. So I've chosen to go with dill because dill with pickles, like dill with dill pickles, is a really wonderful pair. They just really complement each other with the flavor that it gives you, but I've also gone with coriander. You can just use dill, you can just use coriander, you could also just do parsley. So up to you. This one's a touch, I mean, it is just using the humble egg, but this mix is probably like a little bit of a step up from the tuna mix. It's slightly more sophisticated, but again, we don't always have herbs fallen out of our fridge midweek. And you know, herbs are expensive. I feel like if you've got to go out and buy 3 bunches of herbs for like 2 recipes, and you're only using a quarter of them or half of them, then it gets annoying. So pick and choose which herbs you feel you need to use. But I think dill in this one is amazing. Chop that, and then a little bit of the coriander I'm gonna grab. I've already washed these. I mean, you always should wash your herbs because they can carry a lot of dirt and grind inside the stems, especially coriander. I don't mind a little bit of stem in this mix either, so I'll be just chopping the coriander like that. Beautiful. Oh my gosh, it smells amazing. This definitely must be called chop egg salad, chop egg mix. All right, let's have a little try. Oh, I've also got some jalapeno here. That is optional. So it's just like having a bit of, because sriracha, I'll show you when I put them together, sriracha goes really well on the tuna mix as well. It would also go well on the egg mix. So the jalapeno is, I'm gonna chop a little bit of it. It's just a lovely like crunchy chili kick. One tip with jalapenos is make sure you test them. Don't read a recipe and put in what it says to put in, because jalapenos can vary so much with their level of heat. So sometimes I'll buy a jalapeno, and this is where if you go to the supermarket or the market, wherever you go, chop it open, have a little lick, or dip your finger in and have a try. Some of them will blow your mouth off just by that, by literally sticking it. And if you do stick your tongue on it, then cut that bit off and don't serve it to people, obviously. But have a try. Some will blow your head off straight away. Others are like, oh, and this one's quite mild. It's like I could use a whole jalapeno and it doesn't add much heat. So please make sure you check your jalapeno heat because it can be so different from each one to the next. So have a look at that. Yum. Look how fresh it looks. All those beautiful. Oh, it smells amazing as well. So we're just gonna mix that up. Mix, 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 mix. Yum. And see, the cottage cheese just gives it a really nice thick coating to make it like a thick mix. Yum, the smell is incredible. I already feel like I'm gonna have to add a little bit more mayo to this, just to give it like that lighter kind of, you could also do Greek yogurt, but I'm not gonna pull out another ingredient. Add a little bit more mayo, and I did forget my salt and pepper. Like before my pepper grinders run out on me, so sorry, my fingers are full of herbs, but I just grinded a quick bit from my other grinder. So we're gonna add that, a little pinch of salt, ta-ta-ta. All right, give that a stir. All right, let's have a little try. Oh my God, yum. Just different flavors, really fresh still, really punchy. I actually feel like I'm missing something here. I always make variations of this mix, and do you know what I think it is? I think it's lemon juice. I think I need a little squeeze of lemon in this just to bring it. The cottage cheese is great because it makes a really thick mix so that when you add liquid like lemon, it's not gonna totally turn into a pool of water. But I'm just gonna add a squeeze of lemon to that. I think it needs it, just a little bit. Let's now have a try with the lemon added. Exactly what it needed. Yum, yum, yum. So there it is, your really yummy egg, avocado, dill pickle, little lunch mix. Now I'm gonna clean up here and then I'm gonna show you how we can serve these up to make a delicious lunch. I've got some toast here, sourdough or whatever toast you like. I've also got some rice thins. You can also use, lots of things. You can use tortillas, you can pop it in a wrap. So you can add some rocket or spinach, wrap it up, eat it. You can use it as a dip. So if you've got some whole grain crackers or, veggie sticks, that kind of thing, you can also do that. Let me show you. Start with the rice thins. I just love this lunch. I come back to this lunch time and time again because it is just so yum. Push it down. There we go. Yum, yum, yum. You can squeeze some lemon. So let me show you just so you can see the two mixes. So there's our tuna mix. Just gonna make that one look a little bit nicer. And then some toast. So if you like toast, if you need something more like bread and that kind of thing for lunchtime, then this is a great option too. And then our eggy mix. So grab 2 rice thins and then I'm just gonna mix the mixes just because it's just me. You do you. It smells so yummy and fresh and zingy. So there's our egg mix on the rice cakes. Yum. And then just some toast for this one too. Ta-da! Now, squeeze a lemon. So I'm just starting to leak the mix everywhere. So if you like lemon, squeeze a lemon on both if you like, or none or whatever. Oh, I forgot. And my sriracha. And then sometimes I'm dropping rocket everywhere, but I like to put a little bit of rocket on top if you just want a few extra greens and a bit of like a leafy salady feel to it. This might be tricky when you're in the office or, with work colleagues trying to eat that and do that. So that's totally optional. I just like having a little fresh component on top. And there we have it. Just wait, let me get my sriracha. Where is it? Uh-oh, might be in the fridge. Yes. And then on whichever you prefer, if you don't like chili, obviously you don't do this, but I love a bit of a squeeze of sriracha on the tuna mix too. And maybe we'll try it on the dill mix as well, on the egg mix. Okay, taste testing time. I'm gonna go for the tuna. It just looks so pretty as well. Okay, here we go. I'll try and do this neatly. What a lunch. Every time just gets me. As I said it before, it's just so yum. Fresh, lots of yummy flavors, filling. Pop that one down. Now I'm gonna try the egg because we've got to try both, why not, why not? Okay, this one is really mounted on high, so I just need to be careful here. Yum, yum, yum. Similar consistency, but such different flavors. You get all the dill and the pickles and the egg and the avocado and the coriander. Oh, and the sriracha is really good on it too. So you could skip the jalapeno and just do sriracha, but just yum. choose one for your next week or whatever. Give it a go and let me know your thoughts. I'd love to know which one you preferred or which one you made for the week and did you like it? Yum.